education. Everyone needs to be aware, study, investigate. On the other hand, the organizations and governments need to do their work as well, having the regulation and the companies having ethical values and ensuring that they are protecting their users.
Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Shripati, and today you folks are in for a real treat. We have a technology expert with us on our show today, but before I introduce you to our guest, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual, no-code digital CX platform, which is available across 14 different channels with 45,000 solutions created across 187 countries and in every possible use case. Engati has been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Carla Taboada is the founder of Domitila Technologies. She is an AI education leader, change maker, and an AI and data science specialist. She's passionate about helping people and organizations reach their full potential while positively impacting society by increasing the access and tools to learn and apply the latest technological advancements. She is also interested in educating children about AI and its impacts on society to promote human-centric AI. Welcome to the show, Carla.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the introduction, and congratulations on Engati and the fantastic platform that you are building.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for doing this with us, Carla. Before we dive right into our interview with Carla, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon so that you get access to exclusive content from thought leaders around the globe. Now, Carla, I wanted to start our discussion by talking about some of the concerns that come up frequently in regards to ethics and especially with AI and IoT and emerging technologies. Can you help us understand what do you see are the concerns with respect to ethics that come up in these areas?
Yes, no problem. And that's very related to the work that I do with kids and teens educating about AI. One of the main concerns for myself, and that's why one of the reasons why I founded Domitila Technologies, is about AI and social media threats. And what happened is that, as you know, our young people, especially teenagers, are the main users of social media platforms such as Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. All of them are the main users of these platforms. And the problem is that they are based on recommendation systems, right? That provide the content. And what happens is that the more you interact with these applications, with these platforms, the more the algorithms learn about you, and the more it's trying to predict and bring you the content, the relevant content that you may like. So originally, this was this system was mainly used when you were searching information, and that was useful, right? Because you cannot see millions of thousands of documents, so it's good that they bring you the relevant information. However, when this is applied to recommendation systems on social media, these have the risk that they are giving you just the content that you like, only what you really like, and more about that one, and they can put you in a bubble. And this is called the risk of an echo chamber, which is that it's like an echo. You just hear what you like, your same voice. And that's a really concerning for the kids, because this can lead to mental health issues about polarization. They are exposed to fake news. These algorithm filters that are making addiction to likes addictions, right? So that's very important that the parents and kids understand these risks when they are using the social media platforms, that they are just giving you the content that you like. This is like enclosing you in a bubble. It's very important that every person have access to diversity of information, different channels, different sources, right? But in social media, it's not like that. So that's very, very important that the kids are aware. So they are self-protected, because we can discuss, fight, talk with the governments to put regulations on the companies to change, but this is going to take a long time. The best we can do as a parents, as educators, is first us investigate about these tools, and in this way Domitila can help you, what it is, how it works, and then what are the risks for our teenagers, and how we can help them, how they can self-protect. So that's the main concern for me about the social media platforms, the recommendation systems that are exposed to kids, and they are kind of addicts to these applications that are giving you just the content that you like, putting you in a bubble, in an echo chamber. That's for me the main concern.
Absolutely. And with artificial intelligence being a very powerful tool, I can relate to the concerns that you're talking about, Carla. So can you talk to us a little bit about how, and I'm very sure you're doing great work with Domitila Technologies. Can you talk a little bit more about the awareness that you're trying to bring in, and what kind of awareness you're trying to bring in with such deep concerns that we have around echo chambers, or just our search results being more just tuned to the way what I would want to see, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's
What
correct.
what kind of awareness are you trying to bring in, and what are the activities that you are doing at Domitila Technologies for the same?
Thank you very much for the question. So my work, the mission of Domitila, is mainly focused on parents, school students, and teachers. So we want to leverage AI education for them, because it's very important. Our world is going to change drastically, and the main impact is going to be on the kids that are going to interact with robots and all these new technologies.
Yes.
And the main reason I'm doing this one is, or how can I help, is in the number one reason is that I am a lead data scientist, right? I work as a lead data scientist, working for more than 15 years in this area. And I know firsthand that the new careers opportunities are around AI and data. For instance, I am data scientist. I work closely with computer vision engineers, with data governance managers, data engineers, cloud computer engineers, all of these careers that 20 years ago we didn't have, right? And I want to bring this awareness to the kids, to the school students, high school students. Explore these new areas. You can find a new passion. Prepare for the future. It's very good that you are thinking in traditional careers, lawyers, medicals. It's such a fantastic if you really love that one. However, AI is across all the sectors, and it's going to impact that area as well, that field as well. But this is all of these areas. So I want the kids, especially high school students, to be aware of these new opportunities, and to see how, whatever they choose, they are going to have AI, new technologies, blockchain in these new careers, in all the careers. So for them to be aware, to be informed, and to be informed, and to have good decisions for the future. So that's one of the reasons why I'm working in this area, for the people, for the kids to be aware of the wonderful opportunities that we have in these new fields. Number two is, as I said, about the risks that we have with these social media platforms, that they have to be aware about how they work, and how they can have some problems, mental issues, if they are just exposed to the same content all the time. So this is not good. That's my main discussion I have with parents, with educators, that sometimes we complain that we are very busy, we have many things to do. However, our kids at the age of 14 years old, they receive these smartphones loaded with AI already. They are using, they're exposing, they are installing, because they are keen to install many things, but they are not aware, they don't read about the terms and conditions. They don't know about what rights they are giving, about the data that they are using. So parents need to make the time and investigate, and be responsible as well for the usage of the technology that we are giving to them. So that's another point of discussion, my mission that need to be, as a person from this field, need to share with the parents and the educators around the world. And number three is also my main mission, is that we inspire more girls to come into the the world of AI, the technology, because you know that at the moment many applications based on AI, blockchain and some other are impacting millions of people and cannot be one-sided, cannot be just one group of people. We need to bring woman perspective, not just from the gender point of view, but also from the age point of view, from the ethnicity point of view. We need that. We need to ensure that all these technologies serve all of us in a good way. You know, there are some other concerns about the bias in AI, in the algorithms, in the data, and so on. So the most diverse is the people that work in this area, the better will be for society. So that's my main mission as well, to inspire girls to see that we can, there are fantastic women doing fantastic job in different areas, in computer vision, natural language processing, speech recognition. That's why I work closely with organizations such as Women in AI, Women in AI Ethics, that always, when I do my online sessions with kids, I bring women, so the kids, boys and girls, both of them, beautiful people, see that there is a diverse team that can do fantastic things. So together we progress better.
Absolutely, that's I mean truly, there is commendable job that you're doing, Carla. There, yeah.
Thank you so much.
But the answer that you gave me brings me to my next question, which is, while we see a lot of concerns or challenges with artificial intelligence right now, but a pandemic like COVID-19 has forced digital transformation through most of the organizations, and especially across IT and software industries. There's a lot of digital transformation that is happening across not just that industry, but multiple verticals, right? So how do you think AI has helped organizations during this forced digital transformation of the COVID-19 outbreak?
Okay, that's a really fantastic question. And I can give you my answer from the transportation point of view, because I work as a lead data scientist for Auckland Transport as well. And what we did and how AI helped during these difficult times is from the data science point of view. Data science, do you know that AI and data science, there is an intersection?
Yes.
And we use machine learning as well to develop models and so on. And during this period, we were very, very busy because we are analyzing data, bringing these insights to the decision makers for them, for us, for the organization to take the best decision, to see how they can react to this difficult situation. In transportation, if I can give you some examples, we were very busy trying to develop some models, some ways to help to the bus optimization, because you know during the close downs, during the time that everyone was at home, our bus system was not working at 100%, so we need to reduce to 60-50%. However, we need to ensure that we had buses on the areas when we have medical workers, when there are supermarkets, right? So in these cases, we were working or trying to develop some models that can help us to predict in the next 10 days, next five days, where it's going to increase or decrease. So we don't use buses in this area. We put better buses in all the areas that are needed. This is just one example of the experiment that we were doing, how we can help so we don't spend money, or we spend wisely. We optimize how we use our resources. Other example is from the text mining point of view as well. Text mining techniques that those days was very difficult to predict what is going to happen. It's a very difficult situation, but we were analyzing customer feedback to see from the interaction that we have, what are the concerns, what are the problems, how we can help them, how are going to evolve the situation if people are going to the office again, if we're going to have patronage increasing or decreasing. So we were analyzing mainly data to see how, what is the best reaction that the organization can have. Also, from the computer vision point of view, not in our organization, but I saw in some other organization as well, using from the CCTV cameras that we have on the streets, right, that are collecting this information from the videos, using technologies such as image classification, human pose estimation to help to detect where it's the crowd people. So, you know, when it's crowd people, there is the more probability people get infected. So we want to stop the virus and so on. So these technologies that can help to to the people to be safe, the bus stops, train stations, and so on. Computer vision, data science, analyzing data to take the decision. That's the where, for my perspective, for my experience, help a lot.
Wonderful. So, Carla, you're talking of very interesting use cases, right? You're talking about efficiency in the system. Now, you took transportation as an example, and you said where to deploy buses versus where to not deploy buses and make it more efficient, like help control the pandemic by monitoring CCTV footages, which are very great use cases for artificial intelligence as of today. So, what do you think are the future landscapes that artificial intelligence could dwell into, and what is it that we would want to look out that AI landscape would look like in the future for us?
I can see that the more and more we have dependency on technologies and especially on AI-based systems. And that's good, but also yes, concerns from the ethical point of view, right? It's really important that it's a shared responsibility, not just the claim on the companies or on governments. Yes, they have to do their work, but also we people, the public, general public, need to be more enthusiastic to learn about these technologies that we are already using it without even noticing. And not me, but some other organizations that are trying to bring this awareness, this education. So please, everyone needs to be very aware, and together we need to push for the regulations to be in place, to, as a society, informed society, empowered society, to decide what we want, what we don't want, because AI is coming, it's just starting, it's not going to stop. So we need to together to ensure that technology is used for good. So more and more dependent on technology, but we need our role to play to ensure that technology is used for good.
Thank you for that insight, Carla. That's true, right? So that brings me to my next question of how can we promote human-centered AI, right? And how can we promote and develop it? And what impact do you think human-centered AI is going to have in the next, uh, years to come, and the future of the work that we say?
Yes. For me, it's mainly two main points. One of them is education, as I just explained, that the people is aware, not just the technical people, but everyone in the general public, to bring all of this awareness, education, understanding, for us to push for the right regulations, for us to ensure that our data rights, data privacy issues are respected. And on the other hand, is from the, because we ask how we promote, right? From the companies, organizations point of view. It's very important, and in my case as a lead data scientist, the first thing I did when we were working on establishing the data science capability, and also in the foundational work that we started, is to have our ethical values established, uh, saying from the beginning that we need to have, we have ethical values such as transparency, explainability of the models that we are building, fairness, always taking care of the bias in the data and algorithms, accountability, and also user rights, data rights. So the company's organization needs to have a kind of a code of conduct, but code of ethical values to ensure that the rights of the users are respected, and we protect the data of the users. We don't expose them, we don't put them at risk. So education, everyone needs to be aware, study, investigate. On the other hand, the organizations and governments need to do their work as well, having the regulation and the companies having ethical values and ensuring that they are protecting their users.
Absolutely. And in all of this, we would need that human-centered AI concept where we really need human beings involved, trained, learned, educated human beings to be involved in the whole process of
Yeah.
building an AI tool.
Yeah, the human beings, the people is at the center. It's at the center, and whatever we do is to serve that person, not to make money, not to make profit. Is just to serve that person in the best way. Because sometimes, there is this dilemma between a convenience and our data rights. So we also need to be aware of how much we are giving for convenience. So yes, we are not giving things for free. Our data, our rights are involved in that way. We need to be careful with that.
That's such a noble thought that people are at really the center of things, and everything is just to serve for a customer, for a human being, for a user at the end of the day. Any other sound bites you'd want to leave our audience with, Carla?
Yeah, the whole conversation is really about as a mom, as a professional, mainly as a mom, right? That's why I'm working on the Domitila mission, is that to take care of our younger generations, take care of the kids. It's so important that they are aware of the opportunities, and we develop the talent everywhere globally, because as you know, at the moment there are some countries more prepared than others. There are some countries that they already have the national AI strategy and giving the investment, the money, the resources. And most of the countries don't have that one. But we cannot rely on our own governments. I'm originally from Bolivia, from South America, and in Latin America we have that disadvantage. But anyway, we now have our phones. That is our can be our powerful tool. When we get information, we can access to fantastic online courses. We can learn, we can improve ourselves, we can update ourselves, and then we are more prepared for the future, because at the moment there is this discussion, pessimistic, optimistic. AI is going to bring new jobs, it's going to be as previous revolutions. It is true. I think for the long term, it's going to have a positive impact. I pray for that. However, for the short term, for the people, for the countries that are not prepared, it can be dramatic. So we need to be prepared and prepare our kids especially. So let's give the time to guide as a parents, as educators to our kids, and help them, protect them, see their potential, and shine. And I'm there for that. That's why I'm on this mission. So please contact me for any help, advice, resource, whatever. That's my mission. I'm completely happy to help and bring this AI education for everyone, everywhere, because we need the global talent.
Absolutely. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much, Carla, for giving us your time. Your insights were really, really precious for me personally, and I'm very sure that our audience is going to enjoy this interview a lot. So thank you so much for your time, Carla.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for giving me this space, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Hey, guys, we will be back with another episode with a brand new expert very soon. Stay tuned, and we'll see you around on the next one.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Carla. You have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Yeah, you have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.